Hello everybody, I'm Tyler from Tyler Talks Books, and welcome to my January wrap-up. Now, I read quite a few books this month, looking back, so I'm going to do this more by series than by each individual book, although I will talk a lot about books individually as well. The first series of books I finished was the Percy Jackson series, and I've read like the first two in December, and then I picked up all of the videos at once, so it was the Titan's Curse, and the Battle of the Labyrinth, and the Last Olympian. Almost called it Heroes of Olympus. Which I'll get to. Now, Titan's Curse introduces two new characters and continues the adventures of Percy and Annabeth, and is, despite my hesitation, actually a pretty good book, and I would definitely recommend it. The next one, I guess, and I finished. This is toward the beginning of the month, so. But the next one is Battle of the Labyrinth, which I was really excited for going in, because the Labyrinth is one of my favorite parts of Greek mythology. And I was like, that could be really stinking interesting. And it was. Like, it lived up to expectations. It is so good. Annabeth gets her first quest, like, it's actually her quest. And there's just so much tension, and it's so good. It's really amazing. And then there's the final one, which is The Last Olympian, which basically is the end of the series, but also the end of the war in question, because the war kind of starts the end of here, and it's sort of here too. And then this one takes place like a full year later, like they skipped the entire year, the entire summer at Camp Half-Blood from the, like, they skip an entire summer. Like, goes from birthday to birthday. But, I mean, believe me, read this book. Especially if you've already read the other ones, read this book. Of course, if you have read the other ones, you're probably thinking of picking it up. Good book. Really good book. Now then, the next series, I would argue, in cases, is better. And both series are really good. The next series I would argue is better, and I can compare them because that next series is the Heroes of Olympus series. Also by Rick Riordan. So, just one of the reasons why I said I was going to do by series. There are 5 books in this series. Did you know? The first two being Lost Hero and Son of Neptune. These two are similar and different at the same time. They're like two sides of the same thing, and they work together very well to kind of envelop some deeper plot that's going on for the rest of the series. And oh my gosh, this series is so freaking good. Anyway, Last Hero was okay. It mostly follows 3 new characters we haven't met before, but in the same universe, and there are some returning characters. This one, as you might guess, has Percy Jackson in it. This does not. This does. I'm not going to say why. But this one actually was really, and there's some Percy with a couple of other new characters and some other new things, and was really good as well. And I like this one better, and that cover art, though. That cover art, both of them. And then, that's not all. That's only... Loved it with those first 2 books. That was just the beginning. Mark of Athena. This book. Okay, so basically, this one is the culmination of the other 2, where two separate plot points come together, and prophecy starts happening, and adventure begins, and stuff goes down at the beginning of the book, and at the end of the book, and if you've read it, you know what I'm talking about, and... Anyway, I don't want to spoil anything. Read the series and read this book and finish it, and let's just say make sure you have the next one handy. Speaking of the next one, I managed to check out all of these from the library at the same time, which was fantastic, because one of my friends did not have the next book when they finished Mark of Athena, and their displeasure was known on Twitter. Anyway, House of Hades Now, as much as I've talked about the other books and liking those, this was my favorite of the series, House of Hades. This cover art, first off, is fantastic, and just all of the struggling character, the character development in this series is fantastic. Some of the best I've ever read. Just amazing as heck. And this book is the fourth in the series, and it's just the continuation of the adventure. Like, the first Jackson series, you had, like, a new quest and a new prophecy every book, and until you got to the final prophecy. But this one there's really only, like, one, maybe two in the entire series. But they're big enough that they can easily cover the entire series. It's huge. And so this is just outstanding. Basically, the end of Mark of Athena leads up so well to this book, and this book is just cannot say enough. Read it. It is amazing, but read the other three first. It's just amazing. And the last book in the series is The Blood of Olympus. And this one, I actually really liked this one as well. It ends really abruptly, which, like, my first thought was instantly, like, okay, fanfiction needs to happen right from here. But, like, the character development, again, is fantastic. The ending, it was a little abrupt. I did have a little bit of warning on that. But I still thought it was abrupt, but it was good. It left tons of room. It's open-ended. It left tons of room to think and extrapolate on it. That's my fanfiction comment earlier. It's the culmination of the prophecy from the first book. And, I mean, yeah, just read this book. Its other relationships, the romantic ones and the platonic ones in this series, are just fantastic. And cannot say enough about this series. You need to go read it. And yes, I intend to pick up the Magnus Chase series eventually. And if you are who you are, then you know who I'm talking about. If you're not, don't worry about it. I will pick up the Magnus Chase series eventually. My TBR is long. However, the next book that I read, because of course I can't go a month without Sanderson, was Steelheart. It was the only of his books I finished in January. I'm currently reading a couple of his other ones I've talked about. This book is the first, the Reckoners trilogy. I've read, only this one. The second one's on its way, and the third one actually comes out later in February. 12th or something like that. I don't know what the release date for that one is, but it's in February. So that is exciting as heck. And this book, it was different. This is the first, actually the second Nine Cosmere book of his I've read. The first was Rhythmatis, which was fantastic. This one was like almost more sci-fi than fantasy, but I really liked it nonetheless. The character development on the plot twists, and like how they essentially took down this unstoppable being, which is a theme that permeates more of his books, such as, so far, the Mistborn original trilogy, and Stormlight Archives will have that, I'm fairly certain. But yeah, this book, I liked it. Would recommend. And Firefight's the next one, and haven't read it yet, but it's on its way. Of the physical copies of books that I have, that's what I read. I also read, over the last couple of days, an e-novella by Brandon Sanderson. I found out about from Lindsay Ray, and over at her channel, which I can link in the doobly-doo. And basically, it's Cosmere. Basically, Brandon Sanderson's big world of stuff and things of all of his adult fantasy novels. And it just reveals so much about it. And it was absolutely fantastic. It's called Mistborn: The Secret History. And absolutely, I would say, do not read it unless for sure you have read the original Mistborn trilogy, Mistborn, Well of Ascension, and Hero of Ages, because you will be majorly spoiled for that entire series, because it takes place during that time. And I've heard stuff like recommended you don't read it to like Bands of Mourning, and then I've heard like Elantris and Warbreaker thrown in there as things you should read first. But really, all you need to read is the original Mistborn trilogy. And there's there was nothing that seemed like a major spoiler for anything else. There was a lot of connections, though. Now I had to go on the Coppermind wiki, which is the wiki for all things Sanderson. But, yeah. I love the Cosmere so much. And then after that, I finished 2 audiobooks. The first one was Stormfront by Jim Butchers, the first in the Dresden Files series. Dresden Files is a series I kind of avoided just because, I heard the books were all so long, and I didn't, like to read books that long at that time, which was funny because I was the biggest reader of my friend group, which is why they kept recommending it to me. But I listened to it, and okay, I'm going to say something special about audiobooks in this audiobook. The book was great, fantastic. Butcher's writing is great. The plot, the story, the just entire thing, the characters. The audiobook version. Cannot for the life of me remember what his name is, but the guy who narrates the audiobook version. Listen to the audiobook version. So good. His voice, just so much immersion. Fits so well. Just absolutely nails Dresden. And the other characters. Just, so good. I mean, I would give the book 5 out of 5, and I'll also give maybe Lost Hero at first. I thought it was a 4.5 out of 5 book, but the rest of those were 5 out of 5 for sure. They just kept getting better and better and better and better. But at the same time, this book was also really good. And they're 2 different series and stuff like that. But anyway, it was just amazing. And then the second one I listened to was Leviathan by Scott Westerfeld, which is a which is basically a steampunk alternate history World War I, where there's the Darwinists who basically bioengineer everything they use for lots of things, including the war machines, and then the Clankers, who basically just build everything on machines and think that all the Darwinist stuff is satanic and evil. So there's these 2 different sides. We start with 2 perspectives. And it stays at 2 perspectives, but they're on opposite sides of the conflict. And the world building and steampunk part, maybe I should say, I don't usually read steampunk or anything. There's really no reason why I haven't been into it. I just haven't been. But this book, the world building was fantastic. The characters are great. And as you get farther along in the book, it just gets better and better and better. Because I'm not going to spoil anything. I don't want to say anything. But just read this book. It is amazing. It is the first book in a trilogy. The second one is Goliath, and the next one is Behemoth. I think that's the order. I would that the other way around. But yeah, the book was just fantastic. So that was my January. Let me know in the comments below what books you read, what books you enjoyed, or if you read any of these. Without further ado, I'm Tyler, and I will see you next time.